The Reds smashed up the Champions League as we do. Now it's time to get back to the nitty-gritty of the Premier League, and it's a fucking big one. Oh, it's a big one. So to chat about the big one, I've got the big boys. Let's go. It's time for Khanage. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It seems like it's been forever. I've missed you. I doubt if you've missed me, but I'm back. All is well. Khanage is here, and we've got loads to chat about. But I think the main thing that we need to discuss and talk about is this huge game. And I thought, who best to discuss it with some of my best mates, plus Avi. And Ross, thank you very much for coming on, man. I know you done a preview over on the Redmen earlier, which I managed to get a glimpse of. I know you've been busy, but nice one, pal.
No problem. Thanks for having me again.
You've had a bit of a break as well, actually, to be honest with you. Yeah. You went away, didn't you?
Yeah,
you went away.
I only managed to get to Scotland just in time before the petrol crisis, so all good.
Exactly. Excellent. And I thought I'd bring a proper City fan. Do you know what I mean? Like proper from the mean streets of City. None of that Barnsley and all that rubbish. But listen, I've got Big Steve from the Big Six Show. My man, how are we?
Great, mate. Great. Yeah. Even better to be on here.
Good man.
Game, innit?
Oh, mate. Yeah, proper football. Avi.
How are we?
You doing, bro? Listen, look, joke's a joke, all right? I fuck about and I tell
you already dug me in twice already, and it's literally been less than 2 minutes.
No. I need to thank you for covering for me while I was away. Absolute diamond. You're an absolute gem. Thank you. I mean that. And shout out to Conroy as well, who helped you, carried you. Helped you in the show. Conroy was brilliant, and you was brilliant. Thank you very much. But listen, before we start off, got to give a shout out to my amazing sponsors, Elite Me, www. People keep saying I would miss out a W, so I'm going to make sure from now on, www.eliteme.com. All your CBD needs, these are the people. I'm not joking. I've mastered the technique. You'll be glad to know of the 2 drops under your tongue. Steve, have you tried CBD, mate?
No.
You know what? You fucking need to try this because you get angry.
I'm angry all the time.
You get angry a lot, right? This shit is the real deal. I'm going to send you the details afterwards. You'll even get a 10% discount if you type in LFC DT. So how's that?
No, LFC 10. Grizz, LFC 10. Don't make a mistake straight away. It's LFC
10.
The Big Six Show would never be the same again if I was mellowed out.
No, that's true. But in your spare time when you're with your family and kids, like when it's time to be mellow, right? Yeah. Don't always have to be angry. This is the one. I'll give you the details. It's amazing. It helps. It helps in all sorts. Avi, I believe you've been trying it as well. You swear by it as well.
Yeah, I do. I've got bad knees, patella tendon issues, but using the balm and the drops like you do, but underneath the tongue, it's worked wonders. Honestly, like 5-6 weeks, and I can walk 5K now regularly. I can't jog yet, light jogs, but 5K regularly, 7 days a week now. So yeah, it has made a difference to me.
Excellent stuff. So listen, people, go check them out. They do other things apart from CBD as well. They do balms. They do all sorts. They're magnificent. You always hear about this kind of stuff and you think, really? But it's worked wonders for me. I sleep well. I'm much more calmer. It helps with, when you're feeling anxious. And, it helps just before a big game like this, because this is one huge game. But before we go into the game, small matter of Champions League. I know, Steve, you don't like talking about Champions League stuff,
I don't mind it now. We're getting closer, so it's all right.
Your club doesn't recognise Champions League much, does it? But very tough fixture for you in midweek.
Yeah.
I think it was fair to say Pep was kind of forced to play his strongest team up against probably one of the favourites as well. Even though you had Liverpool on the horizon, you couldn't take your eye off the ball. And so was you happy with the selection and the way you approached it and everything?
I was surprised, really, because I did expect him to change it. There was a few players that haven't really played, like Stones and that, who were on the bench. I thought he might change it because for me, we had a tough week with Chelsea away, Paris away, Liverpool away. Now, the Paris game was a little bit lesser a game for me because they drew their first game in Bruges. We won ours. And I don't think there's any danger that us and Paris are going to get through that group. So I would have been tempted, if he needed to play some of these players, to play him in that game. He didn't. We actually played really, really well. I couldn't criticise anybody, only Sterling, because I feel at the minute with Sterling that he's not got a role in the team and Pep's trying to force him somewhere. So he's trying to slot him in as a striker, and he ain't a striker. I think he's one of the most easiest players in the world to mark when he's in the middle because he just gets knocked all over the place. And Kevin De Bruyne, I don't know if you watched the game, did an outside of the boot quality cross into the box, pinpoint right on his head, 6 yards out. He hits the bar. And in them level of games...
One that was made for Kane, eh? Dare I say it? One that was made for Harry Kane.
We need a striker because it's all right blowing these smaller teams away, 5s, 6s and that. That's great. It's great to watch and we love it. But when you come up against the top opposition, that's when you need your gunman. That's when you need the man with the key to open the door. And it's very frustrating to see. At Chelsea, we got away with it. We forced it on them and we got the goal, little deflection. But I'm going to back my manager. I've said it. I'll always back the manager and make his decisions. But in my opinion, we don't go as far in that competition without a striker.
Avi, did you manage to catch the game in midweek? What do you think?
Only highlights, Grizz, because obviously the Liverpool game was on at the same time. Sterling one's a interesting one. He's used him as a nine because Rodgers in the 2014-15 season used Sterling in a 9 as well in some games for majority of the system with that wing back system that he implemented. So it's weird that Pep's using it as well. I don't think he is a 9, Steve. I think you needed a 9. Funnily enough, the amount that you lot have spent, you still need a striker. I don't think Jesus is the answer in the 9. I think he's been playing off the wing as well. So it will tell. I know he scored against Chelsea. He scored, a deflection, like you said. But yeah, I didn't catch too much of it. It was just nice to see Messi get off the mark, and surprise, it was always going to be against City and Pep. So I didn't watch too much of it. Grizz, just only highlights, but I was more concentrating on the real European elite, which are Liverpool.
Yeah, Ross. We went away to Anfield Mark II and done what we normally do, scored loads of goals. What did you make of our selection? Like City had to go strong. Oh yeah, now that Steve's explained the way he has, I actually am genuinely surprised that they went as strong as they did as well now. Like the way Steve's told me that they lost their first game, PSG. Man City strolled their first game, didn't they? And so really, they're going to go through, right? Both of them clubs. Was it a similar scenario for us? Did you expect us to make a few? I certainly did. Did you think we're going to make a few changes? And was you happy or surprised that we went so strong?
Well, firstly, I totally agree on the Man City thing, but it's such a hard balance in between. You want to play Champions League football, those big stages. PSG are a big side with world-class players in. You want to go out there and show what you're made of, but also Man City have one of the toughest weeks in football. It's just an horrific set of fixtures for them. For us, it's hard because, like you just said, every time we go there, we just seem to snot them all over the place. And you can't be complacent. You can't sit up and go, well, we beat them, 5-1, 4-0, or whatever it was last time. You can't turn up. Sergio Conte's our teams work hard, They've proven that. I think I was surprised we went as strong, but also we've got a squad now. We need to use it. I think we also got very fortunate in their goalkeeper. Although second choice goalkeeper, it was quite nice. Someone else's second choice keeper having a stinker.
Yeah.
Champions League game for a change. Like he literally just went. Is it with the bull pen? And you just go, yeah, there you go. Just have one of them. You can walk about for the Bobby goal, but it's helped us in the sense of we've had such a big win. Salah's on fire on all cylinders. Mane, although it wasn't a very convincing finish, still gets a goal. Bobby then comes off the bench and gets 2 goals. So you're creating healthy competitiveness going into a huge game on Sunday. So, these players have got to work hard and train to prove the point. But you'd like to young Curtis Jones completely stole the show for me. Wasn't really a shock, if I'm being honest. It's just him kind of getting up to speed. But I was really impressed with his display. A clean sheet would have been great, but you can't be complacent against these sides. So I was also quite pleasantly surprised the fact that we conceded so many goals to Brentford. I saw the difference in Salah tracking back against Porto to help out James Milner right back, and that for me is you make mistakes, you read the signs, you improve on them, and you correct them.
I think you're right. I think it was a case of Jurgen Klopp saying, because look, as footballers, when you have a result or when you have a performance, defensive performance like we did at Brentford, you want to get out there ASAP, don't you? And right the wrongs. And I think Jurgen Klopp had to sort of. I think the instruction was clear. I don't give a shit about City now. That's 5 days away, Evie. 4 or 5 days away. Yeah. It would have been go out and win this game and put in a defensive masterclass. And I think it was quite early, Evie. I texted you and I said we're on this. You could see it from the offset. Totally opposite of the one against Brentford, where from the offset we were very lethargic. I didn't like the intensity. I didn't like the desire to get back, as Ross says, even for Mo Salah, not singling out just Mo, but a lot of players kind of just. It wasn't a Liverpool-like defensive type performance. Porto was total different, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Porto were very poor though, Grizz, as well. I think let's not face the fact. Let's face facts. Like
the keeper was poor. I think the rest of we made them poor. I think we made them look poor.
Yeah, we did. I mean, there was a player that I, obviously like from Porto, Luis Diaz, who didn't pull up any trumps.
Say it properly. Like, you're not on this show to say it like an Englishman, right? You're on this show to come out with a fucking proper pronunciation. So don't go shy now. Fucking say it properly.
So, Luis Diaz, who was absolutely, poor. I mean, he had a rare sort of 560 big Steve. That's what he said. Well, you wanted me to say, what do you want me to say? Luis Diaz. That's how you say it. That's how the Diaz. It's not Diaz, it's Diaz. So look, this is from my Portugal interpreter who says these how you translate it. So look, I'll go back to him on Twitter. So now look, we set off the traps really well. I thought we were looking sharper on the Tuesday. We looked really sharp, and I think it must have, they must have had a bit of a bollocking from Klopp on Saturday after that result against Brentford. We looked sharper, we looked quicker on the ball, quicker in application and attitude. And the goal, the goal, which was a great little run from Curtis Jones, keeper again, should have done a little bit better, comes off the defender, and Salah, nicks in to make it 1-0. And from there on in, then we had the ascendancy, and we just steamrolled them really. Second half, they had a bit of a patch, when Fabio Vieira came on. But no, I thought we were in relaxation mode in the second half, and we were picking them off at will.
Yeah. Steve, Ross was talking about your fixtures, and the more you think about it, right, this week, this must be. Can you remember a tougher set of fixtures in a week? Like you had Chelsea away, PSG away, Liverpool away. Like what the fuck? Like is it? I can't think of anything harder right now in world football. Probably, lads.
It was a strange one. It was like you say, it's thrown up a mad week. Yeah. And you're just looking at it and thinking, you know what, we just got to get it done. You know what I mean? We've got to get it done. I mean, we started at Chelsea. I went to Stamford Bridge. I was confident we could get something because I thought we had some injuries, but Pep did his usual trick of telling a few porkies. And when the team was announced, I thought, you know what, we'll get something here. But City fans were confident. Like you say, we played well at Chelsea. We pressed them. We got a little bit of revenge for the Champions League final. I know it's not, they won the bigger one, but we got to start somewhere. And I was confident going into the Paris game. And then like you say, the Paris game we played really well. We dominated the play. We pressed them. We limited them to very little chances. But then the quality just takes over. The first goal, we were too busy worrying about what Messi's doing on the edge of the box, and then they got in and scored. Fair enough. We countered it. We missed that absolute blinder when Sterling hit the bar and Silva hit the bar from a yard. And then the keeper, Donnarumma, played really well. But then we give Messi that little fraction of space that he needed. He just threw us as a bit of a body swerve. Laporte was twisted up, and then he finished it. Beautiful. I mean, you can only clap it. I mean, talking about the other mob last night, they got absolutely levered off Villarreal, levered. And then it falls to the right man in the 95th minute. The man, anyone else, Martial, Rashford, any of them lunatics, it's going over the bar. Give it him, it's in. And it's like, that's what you get. The best players in the world do that, you know what I mean? So I just applauded Messi. I applauded PSG. I thought, you know what? Last year, we rolled you. We played you at your game. We rattled you. We wound you up. You all started throwing tantrums.
Yeah, they did.
It didn't work this time. They've got a few extra players in that squad now. Hakimi at right back, Mendes at left back, Verratti was back, and then Messi in there. I mean, I was on with a Don Robbie watch along with Stuart, the Paris fan, lovely kid, big Paris fan, great guy, knows his football, and he was crying at home like they were like, oh well, you know, we've got Messi and we've got Neymar. I'm like, hold on a minute, you've got Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe up front, and we've got Raheem Sterling playing in a false nine. So don't be telling me you're hard done to, because I'd take any one of them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But going back to league performance, you mentioned the Chelsea one, and Ross, I don't know for you, I don't know if you managed to get much of that game or if you watched it at all. I thought it was the statement performance by any of the big boys so far this season. I know we played Liverpool, Chelsea, and that was a bit of a stalemate, especially after the 10-men incident. The next best big game was Chelsea City last week, and I really thought that was Man City really put down a marker. Did you manage to get any of the game?
Yeah, I think the first 45 minutes was a bit stale, if we're being honest. It was kind of like no one wants to make a mistake and let the guard down. But in that sense, I think Man City have come out of that great, because all the talk in mainstream media is Chelsea are favourites for the league. They've got Lukaku, they're going to do this, they're going to go do that. But
they needed a bit of humbling. They needed a bit of a humbling, didn't they?
Yeah, probably, yeah. But it's not them saying it though. It's the mainstream media and what they think, just because that's what they want you to think, because they bought a striker and City missed out on Kane, therefore not going to win the league. I don't buy that. Man City have got the experience in most of their players in there and the manager to pull off different things. One thing I quite like about Man City, especially up top, is the movement. Now they're trying to introduce new players in Grealish. Obviously, I don't think De Bruyne was De Bruyne to play that game.
He started,
He started, but he's still coming back. Obviously, they're trying to fill in it at left back as well. So, Man City were kind of up against it. And I've got a couple of Man City fans, and they're all like, I don't think they were confident, but I think they were quietly confident. They didn't want to say that they were. But to come out of that, and then, because the top four is so close, I think there's us on 14, and there's another 4 teams on 13 points. Therefore, Man City going into this next game can go above Liverpool, and it's that first chunk of games. Then you go into the international break. What does that do for mindsets of players and whatever else? The City players will be probably in agreement with Steve. They're like, you can go to PSG, give it your all, and they're not going to be hard done by the fact they've lost 2-0. They're not out of the Champions League. It wasn't a terrible performance. They know how good they are, so now they can go. Well, actually, we're 1 point behind Liverpool in the league. We played them before, so it'll be interesting on Sunday. I'm hoping the fact that there's fans back in the stadium will put them off slightly, because that always seems to work in our favour. Obviously, they got a great result last season, and even the season before, I think they did as well. So yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Was you impressed as much as I was, Avi, with City last week, or are you going to say Chelsea kind of shat the bed? Because there's a lot, like Curtis J says here. For people that don't know, that is the actual Curtis Jones. He tunes in. He says, too cool, way too defensive. Heard a few Chelsea fans have become a little restless because they lost 2 in a row. We know Chelsea fans are like the owner, fickle. Like, you never know when you can pull the trigger. And fans kind of are very fickle as well over there, aren't they? Because they've only been supporting the club for the last 10, 12 years anyway. So, or do you think City really showed their true colours. Like maybe am I overhyping City, and then sort of or was Chelsea just poor on the day and too defensive?
I think it's a bit of both, Grizz. City was sharp. City looked sharp. Bernardo Silva coming in, he played well. And then you had Foden floating around, with the front three and then off the wings, he played well. I think a key element to City has been having a fully fit now, after a season, after 2 bad injuries. One which was horrific, like in the ACL, is Laporte back, Grizz. Laporte alongside Diaz, that is your number one centre back pairing. They both.
Is it though? Let me just tell Steve to butt in if he wants there.
Overstones, yeah.
Steve, do you think what's the best partnership there? Because I thought, and I know you agree. You might not. You might have changed your mind. But I remember you saying Stones and Diaz is the best partnership.
Well, what happened last year? I think every man and his dog at City was like, yeah, it's Laporte and Diaz. And then obviously Stones came in, full credit to him because it looked like he was going to leave. He came in, sorted himself out, and he just became undroppable. And like you say, we won the league. Him and Diaz seemed to hit it off. John Stones didn't put a foot wrong last season.
He didn't.
It's just unfortunate this season he's picked up an injury. Laporte's now reversed it. Now Laporte's got his chance and gone, I'm not letting what happened last season happen to me. I'm keeping this spot now. And he's come in there now and he's started the season on fire. So it's great to have competition. I mean, John Stones, he played well for England and he's on the bench. I feel a lot more safer with John Stones on the bench than Nathan Ake, let's put it that way.
Because you know what, Avi, it's interesting, isn't it? He spoke about Laporte. Steve spoke about Laporte. And do you remember he came back from fucking mad injury, wasn't it, last
ACL,
season?
It was an ACL as well, yeah.
And he kind of struggled. And a lot of people were looking at Virgil and seeing how he's going to recover. And they were using Laporte as an example of it's going to take time. Virg has not been, and is not, I know you said it in the past as well, I'll get Ross's opinion in a minute. He's not 100% in terms of form, or is he? Like he's playing better.
Grizz, he's probably at 75 at the moment, 75 to 80%. I mean, the Brentford game, I knew that was going to be a bit of a challenge because of Boemo and Tony. They were going to, I think that was our first sort of real test. Let's test Virgil. And there was a challenge right at the end, 89th minute, where they could have won it 4-3, and Virg just sort of caught up with him. So the pace hasn't been lost. I just think it's sometimes just match fitness. The more games he plays, the more rhythm, he'll be back to his best. He's about 80% right now, which is scary because he's still probably in the top 2 defenders in the world, at 80%. But I think, by Christmas, the New Year, we'll see a fully fit 100% Virgil van Dijk. Just the thinking, the anticipation, those things will come with more game time. So, yeah, I thought, Brentford was a big test. Again, look, against Porto, because we had more possession, he looked at ease again. Matip looked good. But, Saturday, people will say, look, the whole defense sort of, were awful. The midfield didn't help Trent, whatnot. But I just thought Virgil it wasn't his best performance. It was one of his poorer performances in a Liverpool shirt.
Ross, would you agree? He's not quite, would you say he's about 75, 80%?
I think it's match fitness.
It's expected.
Match fitness and probably mentality as well, because me as a fan, when he made that challenge against Tony in the last minute, I'm sat at home and I'm wincing, going, "Are you all right with that?
Are you all right?
Yeah. Tackle? Yeah.
Let him score as long as you're right for the rest of the season.
No, but I mean, is your leg going to go again? So it's him going into challenge. I've got no doubts that he's got an elite mentality, but he can't be a human being, go through that massive injury, all that recovery period, and then not want to get injured again when he starts to make those challenges. So I think it's once again of getting back into the routine of playing football again, playing with your mates, getting back to that system that we had, the high line. Don't forget he's playing with different fellas that are in and around him as well. We've got Tsimikas at left back, so he's got to make sure he's all right. Then we're playing a high line with James Milner at right back, which was fine against Crystal Palace, to be fair. But there's all these little things that are in and around him that he's got to get used to again. So I agree. Could give another month or so, I think it'd be fine.
And just to come back on this, Grizz, I'm going to interrupt now. Van Dijk would have seen the praise and the plaudits that Ruben Dias was getting last season, and all this. Can you,
Steve? I need you to perfect that because I want you to say it as well, like we say it, right?
I say everything Mancunian, Father Ruben Diaz. That's how I see it.
And he would have seen the reports, Jamie Carragher coming out saying, Ruben, and look, fair play to Ruben Diaz. He had a great debut season, unlucky with not winning the Champions League. Had he won the Champions League, then there would have been more appraisal. Like, look, this guy is probably on par with Virgil. Virgil will notice that. And I think Sunday, we're looking at battles around the pitch. We'll come on to Curtis Jones, but Virgil will just want to, like you say, Grizz, the big dog. He'll just want to put a friendly reminder to everyone, the media, fans as well, opposition fans, that look, I'm still around. I'm still like the main man here. So it's going to be a fascinating battle between the two, not head to head, but to see who comes out on top.
Do you know what, Steve? I want to go back to a comment where someone, and I think a few people backed it up as well, which is an insane stat that you've conceded six shots. I mean, when we talk about City, when we talk about Pep, we rattle off the names of the forwards or attackers, I should say. And we talk about Pep's football and his attacking philosophy and everything, right? But I've always said it. The way he coaches the way he coaches his teams defensively is underrated, because it's probably one of the hardest ways to defend, and he believes in defending through keeping the ball away from the opposition.
You've got to have a certain character to defend for us, because sometimes when we go gung-ho, we leave that back four so exposed, and sometimes it's not a back four, it's a back two, because the full-backs are overlapping. I've seen Walker overlap Mahrez, and Mahrez give the ball away, and then and then we're just in no man's land. So the thing is, we have been good defensively, but a big key to that defensive system is Rodri, and he's finally, the good thing with City, we gave him time. The fans didn't get on his case. Oh, Rodri, he's not this, because everyone tries to compare him to Fernandinho. But what's happened is Fernandinho is a legend, but Fernandinho's slowing down, and you can see his age a little bit now. And now he's seeing Rodri coming in more and more. And especially against Chelsea, there was a big battle in there with Kante. Now, Kante won the Champions League final for them, for me. He killed us, and we played no DM. And then Pep learned from his lesson, and he got Rodri in there, and he said, get right up him. Don't let him breathe. Same with Lukaku. Diaz and Laporte were right on him. They were smashing in the back of him. They were wrestling with him, and it unsettled him a little bit. And but Rodri was awesome against Chelsea. He was awesome, and I just think he's underrated a little bit.
Nah, he's not for me. I'm a massive Rodri fan.
Have you seen the size of him in real life as well?
Absolute massive Rodri fan, and I know he got a stick even from City fans in his first season, whatnot. And as you said, trying to compare him to an all-time legend in Fernandinho, because for me, Fernandinho goes down as a Premier League legend. Like, he's that good. Yeah. Stepping in those boots, very difficult. But I think Rodri came into his own when you won the when you regain the title, and I think he's magnificent. Rodri brings that sort of solidity that Ross, we absolutely rely on, and we didn't have for massive periods of last season. The Fabinho doesn't it? It just automatically sort of gives you that kind of blanket on top of, which is almost, and before the Brentford game, a magnificent wall of Matip and Virgil van Dijk, isn't it? But Fabinho is just as key for us, isn't he?
Yeah, 100%. I think on the Rodri stuff, I think these players, no matter how good quality they are, where they come from, need time to settle into the Premier League and get up to speed. And I've no doubt, he's got better. He's got used to the English style of football, but also he's going into training with Fernandinho. So he's got the perfect person to teach him how to play that role, how it works. He's learning from one of the very best in the Premier League. I agree on that. And as Steve was talking, it's Liverpool are a nearly exact same style of play. Full-backs come up, your DM drops back, and your two centre-backs split. And then when you do lose the ball, we're the same. You just fucked, you're exposed. But it's always, moving from one side to the other, it's the reading of the game. Now, everyone says Fabinho's massive legs. He's got to be in the right place at the right time to cut out a counter-attack, and that's probably what Rodri's learning and is doing, and why he's got better, because you've got to be able to read the game, where you've lost the ball, where you should be, and to be able to put out fires. But it's not just that, though. I've not watched Rodri as much. But for Fabinho, it's win the ball back, then go. Your transitional play and what you're doing when you're playing these teams, particularly when you're playing the likes of, a Burnley, Brighton, all these teams that put 10, 10 men behind the ball and you can't do anything. DMs are important in that sense as well to get you on attacks. That's what Fabinho does.
But do you remember, Ross? Even Fabinho, we had to be patient with him. Do you remember
I remember his first game, Torino, was a friendly at Anfield. He wasn't very good, and he missed a penalty. But then he was 3-4 months out of the team. You learn your role. You learn your role. You need to see what you go and do, and then you come back in when you're ready. Whereas Rodri was kind of put in a lot more than probably Fabinho was.
What happened with Rodri? He was always a decent DM, but what happened was every time the ball got zipped into him and he was under pressure, his first touch was backward all the time. So players in the midfield used to say, soon, let him have a bit of space. Edison will zip it to him. Soon as the ball's on his way to him, pressure him, bang, it goes back. What he's now doing is he's clever. He's getting a little bit more clever. He's dropping deep at the last minute. He's picking it up and then he's turning and he's driving with it where he never did that before. So we could never get out of our half quick enough. So we used to play Fernandinho and he was the old wily fox where he'd pretend to go one way, then he'd just jink in, run deep, pick the ball up, spin, and then we'd start the attack. Rodri was like a crab. It was left to right, backwards. But now, especially against Chelsea, you just have that confidence to hold that player off, turn, and get City going. And that's what we needed. Otherwise, if he couldn't adapt to that position, because not all players that Pep buys can adapt. João Cancelo, prime example. He bought him the other year. He had an awful season. Couldn't get his head around it. And I don't know if you've ever watched a documentary on Pep. I think it's called 4-2 pass move or something like this, a Barcelona documentary.
A pass the ball, move the ball.
Eric Abidal explains that he didn't get what Pep was telling him to do. And then when he went to the president and said, you need to get rid of this manager. He's telling me to do this. I'm a left back. What's he doing? And then when he finally twigged it, he said, I couldn't believe it. He made me a 10 times better player. And that's the thing with Pep Guardiola. He has a system in his mind, a bit like Klopp. He knows what he wants. Pep knows what he wants. And I think they get a season to see if they can do it. And if they don't do it, I think they're gone. And I think Rodri just gets it now. You know what I mean? And he's very important at what we do. I
remember that game that you're talking about, not the game that you're talking about, sorry, but the sort of the insecurities he had about himself, because we done exactly what you said people were doing in the Charity Shield.
Yeah,
leading up to the end of the one that you guys won on penalties.
Yeah.
And I remember Rodri having a mare in that game, and we were pressing him from all angles. He didn't know what hit him, but as you say, now he's probably up along with Fabinho as one of the best and DMs around. And it's absolutely spot on what you said about the complexities of playing in a Pep midfield and a Klopp midfield, and it's a perfect segue into Curtis Jones, because we're talking about Fabinho and Rodri, internationals and experienced players that have been asked to play in their respective managers' midfields, taking time, learning the different moves, learning the different positions, how to make space, create space. This kid, because I keep forgetting he's 20 years old, right? Probably come to you, Avi, first, because I know you've been praising him for a couple of years now. Last season, I thought he was brilliant, and the reason why he was really, really brilliant and shone for me was the different positions and tactical duty he was asked to carry out, and he learned that last season in a depleted team squad like we had last season. He goes away and thinking that, that's me sorted and I'm going to have a more prominent role now. Even though the big boys will be back and everything, I'm still part of this team now. What happens next is Harvey Elliott, right, his junior, steps into his role and probably takes it up to another level, or at least the same level, right? And we know, unfortunately, he gets an injury. Curtis Jones gets an opportunity, and for me, he's grasped it with both hands. Have you?
He has, Grizz. He's a talented player, but with him, it was always, can he become the grafter in the team? At academy level, he was scoring goals from 20 yards, 30 yards, scored a famous hat-trick against Napoli, playing in a 10. But he always thought he was better than what he was, and he thought, this level's too easy for him. What Klopp did last season with him was brilliant. I thought he had maybe, 10 games maybe too many, that we had to use him for. But
Yeah,
that
I
was because
agree.
of that was because of the injuries. But he's made him an all-round midfielder, a more disciplined player, not just a 10. You're not just going to be a creative player. I want you to become an all-round player. And we saw it against Brentford. I thought he did really, really well. But Porto was the game where he can give and go when he needs to. One thing that I noticed against Porto was he can slow down the tempo of the game as well with his passing, or if he wants to drive forward, he can drive forward and pick up the pace as well with the game. He was brilliant, and that first goal came from the left-hand side, but he's been playing a role in that midfield three, and he's sort of like, Hendo and Fabinho are behind him and saying, look, go and express your stuff, but you need to come back and graft as well. And he's doing that. And I thought last season, you say brilliant, I thought he had a good season where
I agree. The reason
he's
why I
let-
said brilliant was in the context of where we were and what we were as a team. Like
Yeah.
we were depleted everywhere. And in that context, I thought it was brilliant.
And he was 19, turned 20 in January, so he's still learning more and more about his position. And you need to have a certain amount of intelligence to play in a midfield three, especially in a Klopp midfield three. And Klopp trusts him. I've seen some shouts that not sure whether he can play on Sunday. He's played 2 games, Brentford and against Porto Tuesday.
3 games.
Can he go on to play with City? He's born ready. He literally is, and I think it's a game and he will relish. And last season, the game was 1-1 when Klopp took him off. And I'm not saying we lost that game 4-1 because of Jones's, Klopp's decision to take him off, but he was playing in a disciplined system. And prior to that, prior to the second, third, fourth goal that City scored, it was a tight game. So, I would definitely start him on Sunday, and he's got the confidence now. And you don't, when a player's on that kind of momentum, you keep playing him like Klopp did with Harvey Elliott. He was playing well, against the Burnleys, the Norwich came on the bench. He started him against Chelsea. He's got that momentum, so go with it. So he's definitely a starter for me on Sunday.
Ross, how beautiful does it feel to have 2 kids? Because that's what they are, in Elliot and Jones, right? Almost battling it out, sort of in a position where the world and his dog demanded a signing. And we've got these 2, I'm going to call them local kids, even Elliot. I know he came from, where was it? Fulham. Yeah, but, he came when he's 16. He was part and parcel of the fabric. So talk to me about his mentality, the strength and mentality to sort of, as I said, be a prominent player last season in a depleted team, and then suddenly have a little bit of a kick in the butt, maybe, from Klopp, where he elevates Elliot over him, who he's captained, I believe, in the under-23s or whatever at times, and suddenly he sees his younger compatriot ahead of him, but then gets an opportunity and shows the mental desire, everything, application, and loads of skill to get back in that team.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever been in doubt with Curtis Jones, because if you see some of his post-match interviews from, I think we played Everton, he played those Carabao Cup games and FA Cup games. Like he's got a slight arrogance to him, but not an over arrogance. He backs himself, which I quite like in that sense. And I think he's also very lucky in the sense of the Liverpool squad that we have are full of characters. I'm sure Man City are the same in the sense of you've got winners in there, but you've also got characters that will teach you how to behave on and off the field. Don't get too big for your boots. Don't be too arrogant, as I mentioned before. But back yourself because you need the confidence. I think he's been slightly unlucky at the start of this season because he was playing the pre-season friendlies, but he got pretty battered. Osasuna, and he got kicked in the head and a bit of concussion. So because things might have been slightly different for him, but I think it's good that he's got Harvey Elliott there, and it's someone that's like younger than him going, what are you doing here? Whereas it was a 40-50 million pound midfielder that everybody wanted. He might not have had that same thing because he might have gone, well, actually, yeah, fair enough. They're 25, they're more experienced. Might be a Sal Niguez or something like that. Okay, fine, I'm cool. But that's I bring it back to healthy competitiveness. That's what you want in your side, And now he knows that there's no Thiago, there's no Harvey Elliott. Naby Keita kicked the grass and he's injured. So I've been trusted to go and do this, and I'm going to go take my role. Similarly, as you said before, with some other players, with Laporte and John Stones. Liverpool players are the same. You get put in that squad, you have to be the best. You have to be the best in training. You have to be the best on the pitch, because if you don't, there's someone right behind you breathing down your neck that will take your place. Curtis Jones has done that, and I like what he did against Porto. Tracking back, grafting. I think Salah's second goal comes from him winning the ball back. The one thing I do like about him is he's very rarely gives the ball away, and he's very composed. So he'll keep hold of it. If the ball's not on, stop. Yeah, keep hold of it, and I'll go back again. And then similarly, in an attacking sense, when he's going forward, he's Foden-esque, and I don't mean that comparing the players, because I think Foden's on a high level for me. But I think, in a sense, with the way he's running style with the ball, he runs with his head up, and the way that he opens his body up means that second style goal, for example, he moves himself into position where he's got his head up, his body's open, and he's made himself 1, 2, 3 opportunities that he can pass to, and the defence backed off. He could have had a shot, but that's a natural thing and something that he's worked on. So he's got so many facets to his game, but also he's 20 years old. Yeah. And again, he's got the play. He's got Fabinho, Henderson, Thiago around him.
Can you learn from any? Yeah, exactly. If you used to learn from anyone,
you're going to learn from them. So yeah, and if he doesn't start on Sunday, fine. Well, there's a reason that you're not in there. Klopp said it in his post-match of the day of going, I don't pick people because they're the best. I pick the people because they train the hardest and work the hardest throughout the week, and that's why I pick him. So he has to show that mentality, and otherwise he's not going to get picked.
Grizz, and he's like you said, with his many facets that he has to his game, he's a genuine goal scoring threat as well. When was the last time we could say that? I know Ox likes to take a pot shot from here, but he's a genuine who can get into the box, a little bit of trickery, get a shot off as well.
I think that was my question of him. It was an unfair question last season because of the facts of the team. But I think this season, I want to see more goals and assists from him. And he started off brilliantly on that aspect. So, yeah, I've left this on the screen and there's a reason. And Ross alluded to as well. He mentioned Foden. And Steve will be happy to hear that on this channel, we don't just rate our own. Ross, as Ross says, we said, like, for me, Foden is fucking amazing.
What I'm going to say about Foden is, a lot of the shows I was going on, I was getting stick off fans saying, Pep Guardiola's ruining Foden. Why don't he let him go out on loan? And I defended him and said, look, we know what's going to happen with Foden. Pep's come out in the in-house Manchester City press and the TV channel and told us what's going on with Foden. And the thing is with Foden, you're saying with Curtis, if you have got a diamond, you've got to be very careful who you loan that diamond to, because you ain't getting that diamond back in the same condition as it left. Right? Yep. It's very rare a player goes out on loan from a top team, comes back and rips up trees. Because what happens is, if you pick the wrong side, they go there, they pick up bad habits on the pitch and off it. So all of a sudden, he's now in another dressing room with a load of idiots who aren't up to his ability. They're driving Range Rover Sports. They're going out on the piss. They're doing everything because you can't keep track on it. Yeah. So then he comes back, and he either comes back with an ego, where he thinks he's better than he is, and he goes downhill. Or he actually is a good kid, he goes there, he learns his trade, he comes back a better player. But what Pep did was, who is the better to learn off than Kevin De Bruyne, David Silva?
Spot on.
So he says to him, you watch them every day in training, you eat, you sleep, you do exactly what they do, you room with them on away trips, and you look how they live their life. And if you copy that mould, you'll be one of the best footballers in the world. And he done that. Jadon Sancho didn't do that. Jadon Sancho thought, you know what? I need to play in the team. I want to leave. Good luck to him. He left. And look where he is now at Man United, playing shit. But at the end of the day, Phil Foden, he trusted his manager. And this is exactly, in my opinion, what Curtis needs to do. You trust your manager. He knows what's best. He's obviously keeping him there for a reason. And let me tell you this. If you're playing in that Liverpool side, you are a good player. You're a fantastic player. To get anywhere near that squad, training with them players and scoring, you're a fantastic player. So, look, Liverpool fans always give their own time. City fans have done it with Foden. So, just embrace it, enjoy it. I love to see it. I've seen Elliott, the way he started this season, fantastic. Absolutely gutted when he got injured. And like I say, Curtis Jones, I remember him scoring that goal against Everton, local lad, meant the world to him and that. And I just think good luck to him. I love to see young players in the top teams. I think it's brilliant.
It's true. Steve makes a good point about neither of them have been sent out on loan. Am I right or am I wrong, lads? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Foden hasn't been sent out on loan, has he, Steve?
No.
Under Pep. And I think guys, Ross and Avi. I don't think Curtis Jones has been sent out.
Elliot had a good season at Blackburn. Maybe he needed it,
but Elliot was
times.
Yeah, but Elliot was 16, 17, Steve. So he's like very, very young. So, and I think he was very carefully selected where Elliot went. Like Tony Mowbray and Klopp had lots of conversations about the role and everything. It was not just a loan for the sake of it. It was an actual technical loan about how he's going to develop him and whatnot. So there's a lot of thought process behind the Blackburn loan. But it's so true about Foden and Curtis Jones by their respective managers. And Avi made a point earlier that he thought Jones played about 10 games too much, but we had no choice. Like last season, we had no choice. And even though Foden absolutely fucking ruined my fantasy league last season because he was never picked when I picked him, right? But it made sense how Pep used him. It made sense sporadically. He didn't just let him play every game.
When Pep said he was the best young player he'd seen since Messi, they all took the piss out of him and said he was taking the piss. But Pep Guardiola, I think he's more qualified than a lot of like Bill down the road who sat in his porter cabin to tell you who the best player is. He's training with him every day. And look at Foden now; he changes the game every time he comes on.
Yeah, you don't want these players to get burnout either. He's in danger of overusing him. So he's been managed perfectly on and off the field. The other thing that it does is the knock-on effect. If you're saying we all like local lads getting into the team, there's a clear pathway for these players. If these lads can see Phil Foden, what he's done, what Curtis Jones is doing now. We saw it with Liverpool. On Man City might have been the same in the Carabao Cup games that you play. With Tyler Morton, Owen Beck, all these lads that are playing these games can look up to these lads that are breaking into the first team.
Against Wickham, we played a whole left back, right back, 2 centre backs, and DM was the whole academy. They've never played a first team game, and we beat them 6-1. You know what I mean? And we're brilliant.
And if they perform and they build themselves and do the right things off the pitch, as you were saying before, there's no reason. These are the two of the best. Well, it's the best Liverpool side of my lifetime. It's one of the best Manchester City sides that there's ever been. And if these lads can get into those sides, well, they must be fucking good. And there's no reason that someone coming through the under-19s, under-21s can't do the same in 2-3 years' time.
And just on that as well, Grizz, like we talk about, Foden should have gone out on loan. He's played 130 appearances. And he's got his goals. And at the same time, in the last 3-4 years, he's been collecting trophies as well. That mentality to have at such a young, at a young age, from the age of sort of 17, and you're winning, doesn't matter whether you win the Carabao Cups or the FA Cups or league titles, that mentality can only keep you in good stead going forward, 3-4 years down the line. So people say he's not had his fair share of crack. I know last season he played his majority of games. I think he played 45, 50 games, but he's played quite a few games already for City, at the age of 21. You've got to be careful how you nurture these youngsters. So, and he's winning as well. He's winning trophies to go along with that as well.
Yeah. So a lot of people are saying sort of, Steve, they're asking, is Foden an 8 in this side? Is that where you see him? Because where did he play against us? When you ripped us last season, didn't he? Am I right in thinking he played off the right last season?
He played off the right. He's played off the left. He's played against Chelsea. He was more like a false 9. He's played free. I think he's going to play me on Sunday.
I think so. I don't think
Sterling will play. I think the same team that played against Chelsea will play at Anfield.
I was just going to say, so we can probably start trying to work out our respective teams and how we think we're going to line up. So starting with you think your back four, does it pick itself? Does Stones come back in? Now. Your fullbacks are there, yeah.
Cancelo on the left, Laporte, Diaz and Kyle Walker. Be Rodri at DM, Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Grealish, Foden, Jesus.
That's a good team. Jesus, that's a good team.
I know, but it's the striker situation, man. We just need that. It's like I'm sat looking at a jigsaw, a 4,000 jigsaw, and there's one little fucking piece in the middle that I just can't finish it. That's what I'm like with it. When I'm frustrated, you don't know what it is.
Russ,
I don't think. Sorry, he'll play Sterling, but I didn't realise that he's been out of forward. He gets lost in the middle, or that he even played in the middle. But I think he was there decent there last season. But obviously, again, there was no fans. But I think it's a mistake when he tries to play Sterling at Anfield because he gets the crowd going and they get on his back, and then the whole crowd starts booing, and he gets intense, and it's fucking pointless. Yeah,
I won't play him.
You wouldn't?
I won't play Sterling. No, it'd be my front three. It'd be Grealish on the left, Foden down the centre, and I'd play Jesus on the right, but he might play Mahrez on the right. I don't know. Save Jesus
Mahrez-
because if it don't work with Foden, because Foden in the middle against Virgil and Matip is going to have a tough time. He's going to have to keep away from him because they'll just knock him all over. But Gabriel Jesus does like that physical battle, and he's not frightened of having a bit of a bump about. So I'd start Foden, and if Foden's getting no joy later on, maybe put Jesus up there or whatever.
Avi, Mr. In the Know, your predictions and sort of lineup predictions are usually always wrong. So tell us what you think is going to happen, and then we know what's going to happen.
Just before I come to Liverpool, I think he might go and play Morris just because Robbo hasn't started the season well. I know he had a brilliant game against Porto, but they might think that Robertson can got out there, so Morris might fancy his chances. But with us, Grizz, I've gone with the normal back four.
No. I still wanted you to again. You haven't
stick
listened to the
City?
question. It's up, and I love being back with you. Yeah, I was just going to ask your opinion on the City lineup, and where do we find weaknesses and space in that team? Because the way Steve's laid it out, because I genuinely think, Steve, I think you're going to go with a double barrel in midfield.
Rodri and
I think
Fernandinho.
you're going to go Rodri and Fernandinho and De Bruyne. That's just my opinion. I think Pep last season, the dog and duck fucking beat us at Anfield. Like, don't get carried away about last season, right? Everyone beat us last season. Burnley, Fulham beat us last season. So it's no shame in losing to you guys, right? But previous seasons, we know he goes very defensive at Anfield, and he knows a draw is a brilliant result for him. Do you see Avi both playing, or do you think he's going to stick with Silva?
No, I went with the double pivot myself, Rodri Fernandinho. I think that just gives them that little bit more assurances and security, because you got to remember Curtis Jones, if we're presuming that he starts, he will want to push forward. We're not playing with a Thiago, Hendo, Fabinho, or a workman-like midfield. We will play with one who's a bit of an oppressor, who's a bit more progressive with the ball. So I see Pep maybe playing Rodri and Fernandinho. In terms of where do we find gaps, I think we've got to start Jota, Grizz, because I think Jota can go through sort of Diaz. If you're running at Diaz, I think Diaz's movement, the way he switches positions and his stance, I think he does struggle a little bit there. That is a little bit of a flaw in his game. So I would start with Jota, but it's one of those games, Grizz. It's going to be set on tempo. It will be maybe cagey for the first 15, but as soon as there's a goal, it could spark things off like it typically does between the two.
Ross, cagey, first 15? Somehow, I don't think so. Or do
I think it's just going to go off. Right?
I think it's going to go off.
It's going to be like a basketball game, left to right to left.
I genuinely think. I mean, I'm
going to tell you the truth. I can't fucking stand the place. We never get a result there. I can't stand the place. I said on the show the other week, you got a tough week. I said, yeah, Chelsea will get a result. Paris, I'm not bothered about. Anfield, I'm worried about. What are you worried about Anfield more than Chelsea? I went, yeah, we got to Chelsea all the time and get results, no problem. We got to Anfield. The last time we won at Anfield before last season was Nicholas and Elka, and we were shit. And then other than that, we've gone there with absolutely fantastic teams.
A couple of draws.
We just folded.
Yeah, you've got a couple of draws in there.
And Mahrez missed that mad penalty and all
19,
that.
yeah.
Listen, it's just that. Obviously, City and Liverpool, the rivalry over the last couple of years, where we've been absolutely neck and neck in a title race. Where
4 years,
last 4 years been brilliant. You've won at 12 o'clock. We've had to win at 4. Then we've won at 12, and you've had to win at 4. Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but they were stressing me out then, because I was like, these ain't going away. And then I speak to Liverpool fans, and they're like, fucking City ain't going away. And I mean, they were going to the wire. I mean, and that's what I get with Liverpool. That's why me and Grizz have said it on the Big Six. Last season, I predicted, did I not, Grizz, that Manchester City were going on a 20-odd game run. And Toby went, there's no chance you're going on a 20-game run. I went, I know my team, and the way they're playing now, there's only us and Liverpool can go on these runs. And we went on a run and we won the league, you know what I mean? Yeah. And we're both capable of it. They're similar teams. It's mad.
Steve, is it a game that both teams can't afford to lose? Hence, I said cagey.
Well, we'll come to that. I just wanted Ross's opinion on how he thinks the game's going to pan out, because Steve thinks it's going to be like basketball, end-to-end stuff. Avi thinks it's going to be cagey to start off with. Yeah. I think we go for their throats. We try to go for their throats, because if we try to let Chelsea, if we let City settle, we know they can keep the ball for the whole game. How do you see it going?
Yeah, it's tough because we've stopped playing like that. This heavy metal football we haven't done for years. It's been like much slower, much calculated. You know, when we're kind of trying to pick teams off. But I don't think you can't do that against Manchester City.
You
can't do it when the crowd's up as well. You know, you need to ride the crest of the wave of the crowd as well while they're in a good mood before City take the ball and the crowd goes a bit quieter. I don't know whether, I'm just throwing this out there, Liverpool go 4-2-3-1 themselves and play the front four. I mean, that's our way of getting at Manchester City, because we conceded 1 goal in the league so far. But was it 2 or 3 against Leipzig and obviously 2 against PSG? So they've done 5 there. Leipzig went for them. Now, obviously, I don't think Leipzig got the same qualities as in defence to combat a Manchester City, but that's the only way I can see doing it. It's absolutely mad because, you know, there's obviously lots of banter, whatever else flying around between Liverpool fans and City fans. But at the end of the day, I think there's nothing but respect for what the two teams do and what they're both capable of. But also that also projects fear of not wanting to concede goals and not wanting to mess up. You know, it's a high pressure game of high quality players. You make a mistake and you're going to get punished in it. So I think Liverpool will absolutely go for it. It might be that's also a bit of a risk against a quality side, as I said, but maybe you have to do that for 10-15 minutes. We saw it in Champions League games previously. You get the crowd on the back, you get the Reds down. You can, they can be got at, but if you don't, the longer the game goes on, as Avi says, is a draw a really bad result for Manchester City away from home? I'd take a draw at the Etihad
all day long. I think. Do you know what you mentioned you put out there sort of the formation and going with the front four. Do you know we fucking done that at the Etihad? Do you remember, lads? We went out there and City didn't expect that. And for that first half, we were so good. We just couldn't put the chances away. We went with the front four, and I think Jota was fairly new then as well. I think it will be harsh on Curtis if we do that this time round. I can see it though. I wouldn't rule it out.
But I think he'd understand if Naby Keita started out Curtis Jones, he'd be pissed off. And also he's played 3 on the bounce because he played Norwich, Brentford.
He did, 3 on the bounce.
Didn't he? And he played the 6 at Norwich as well. And he was sick. He was sick against Porto. Klopp said afterwards, like, he had a stomach problem, but he still played. And fucking hell, it's fine. It all worked out in the end. But if playing the front four, Curtis Jones isn't going to be pissed off, is he? The only problem is it's a gamble. And if it doesn't work out and we're not scoring goals, what are our options then off the bench? Because
I'm liking it. You've kind of taught me. Maybe I'm easily led. I never used to be easily led, but yeah, there's always one person that sort of leads you astray. I'm convinced. I think we can do that. If we put Fabinho and Henderson to sort of, because they're not, as Steve says, they haven't got an out and out striker. I mean, Jesus is probably any chance of Torres starting through the middle because he's been.
It's weird. He's not been anywhere near it last few games. I think he started. Everyone was saying he's going to be the 9, and then he's never. It's just never a false 9 for me. I like you say, against the smaller opposition, he seems to be good. He's only a young kid, but against the big boys, he's a little bit too timid and just gets pushed off the ball. Against Van Dijk and Matip, he's got no chance, mate.
Avi,
sorry, Chris. I think if you go 4-2-3 and 1 as well, I don't think you can expect James Milner to bomb up and down the right and left as much, because that's obviously going to be an area I think they'll target. Sorry, if Jack Grealish against James Milner doesn't fill me loads of confidence. Having said that, I thought the same with Crystal Palace. As soon as the team news came up, Crystal Palace, it was like Zaha against James Milner. He did pretty well, but he needs support from Joel Matip, and if it's Hendo down that right hand side, he needs support from him as well.
Avi, I was just going to say, the biggest disappointment, obviously, going into this game is the absence of Trent Alexander the Great. What a miss. James Milner's been fucking magnificent, but it's a total different way of playing, isn't it? Trent sort of pinging those cross-ball transitions because City will press. City will bloody press, especially in the fullback areas. And that's where Trent comes into his own. So maybe we may have to formulate a different way of playing against this City team, because I don't think City will sit back. Like, they will defend from the front. Major loss. Can we overcome it? You confident?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice seeing Trent and Salah going against Cancelo, because Cancelo's he's playing well now. He's got that left hand position like on his own. Like he's been brilliant, and he's a great passer of the ball as well. It is a big loss, but I'm not too worried about Milner against Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish isn't the quickest. You know, he isn't the quickest. He can draw
I
fouls.
know he does these ones. I know this is going to come back.
No,
What the fuck have you said that?
No. I mean, I'm not worried at all. Like Jack Grealish he'll draw the fouls, but he can't get away from Milner. He's not blessed with like natural pace. So I think Milner will be fine. I think, you know, Jack Grealish going up against a Trent, maybe there's slight worry, you know, the trickery of Grealish cutting in, you know, getting away, because we know that Trent doesn't mark very close. So with Milner, I'm not too worried with him starting. And you got to trust him. Look, he was trusted against Zaha, and I think he picked up his first yellow card in the 75th or 77th minute.
Milner's definitely getting a yellow card. You need to get the card bets on. Milner is 100%.
Oh, yeah, I know.
As long as it ain't early, that's totally fine. But yeah, no, I think, look, who else can we play? Ox at right back? If I say that, I'll get vilified anyway for it. So it's got to be with Milner. And, you know, you've got to trust. He's a wise head. He's 36 years old. He's got the experience.
Seeing Milner out there, and obviously it's obvious, Pep, will he go with a bit of pace there? Because I know you think Grealish is a stand-on to play there. Is there a possibility, Steve, that he thinks Milner's there? I'm fucking game for this. And does an overload with Cancelo and maybe a Sterling, or I don't know, who's the other option out there?
To be honest, what you get with, there's no point in him putting a player with pace there, because if he beats Milner and crosses it, there's no fucker in the box.
Yeah.
So Grealish, what he does, he gets the ball and cuts on his right, and he got more chance of him curling it in, shooting, or playing the edge of the box, De Bruyne shooting. That's how we play. You'll see on Sunday, it's left to right, side to side, left to right, side to side. Someone will overlap, pull the ball back. There'll be no one in the box. You'll just cut it out. It's weird. It's just a weird thing. We just need to go and get some mad African free transfer striker from somewhere who can just be in the box and let it hit his head, because the amount of chances he gets, he'll just be mad.
Would you take the one at Arsenal? You know, your favorite one.
Origi. We want Origi on a free.
I tried to get Steve to pronounce how he pronounces the Arsenal striker, but he's too sharp for me. He didn't fall for that one. But as Ross, so the selection dilemma, it seems for us, it probably comes down to Jota or Bobby, I'd say. What do you do?
Nice problem to have. Either or. I think what you get from Jota is different runs in from behind. I think he's good at pulling defenders away and creating space for others. But also with Bobby, you know, you're talking about that intense start to the game. There's no one better for me than Bobby at leading the press. You know, he harries people. He can tire them out.
Decent record against City as well. Decent record.
Yeah, and he's just scored 2 goals, you know, against Porto the other day. So, you know, you talk about Curtis Jones feeling hard done by. Bobby's just come off the bench and scored 2 goals. Jota should have had 2 goals and he didn't take his chances. But either way, you know, I like the idea of, you know, Bobby tiring them out for 70 minutes, then you bring a Jota on, or vice versa. I'm just happy to have the options this year, Grizz, to be honest with you. Not Jota's out for 3 months because he played a game that didn't matter. I think it's very tight between them. As I said before, I like the idea of playing all 4 of them, but also I'm concerned that one of them will get injured or something doesn't work out. I'd like to have one of them on a bench as an option when something's not working out, rather than playing all 4. It's not working out. You then turn to your bench and you're relying on Taki Minamino and Divock Origi to change or influence a game against Manchester City, which I don't think will happen. I'd just love Bobby. I'd start Bobby.
Probably, yeah.
That's such against Jota.
It's such a tough one. I think, Avi, you probably go with Jota for the fact that, like you said, Diaz, if you're playing up against Diaz, you're meat and drink for him. But if you drop and he comes out and bring him out of his comfort zone, like Jota has a tendency to do in recent times, where he drops deep, turns, and then has the ability to run. What would you do then in that case? Do you do Jota or do you do Bobby then? Because I think that's the only dilemma, probably.
Jota, Mane, and Salah for me, Grizz. Jota, I do want him in the middle, you know, for the first sort of, you know, 65, 70. And if it's still sort of like, you know, 0-0, 1-1, then maybe try and bring Bobby on to, like, you know, just move around a little bit, press a little bit more, cause a little bit havoc deeper. But now I'd start with Jota, Salah, and Mane. I mean, they don't play great collectively, but they're still scoring goals. I mean, Jota, he's still getting those chances, and he's and he's snatching at some chances at the moment, like that Porto chance he had with his left. He just shot it wide when it was literally, open wide, to shoot on target. But I would start with those three. I think there's goals in them on Sunday as well.
I think the way I look at it is we've spoke about sort of Jota and the front three and their front three. I think one way of us, for sure, they're going to target Milner. For sure. We know that. Cancelo is probably one of the most intelligent fullbacks I've come across in a long time. I think he's fantastic. And his link up with Grealish will be key in how we handle that side. But the further Cancelo gets, the more Cancelo gets brave, Steve.
Yeah.
There's a certain Mo Salah who is probably on form.
Brave, because Grealish can't help him as well. So he's not going to get brave. And you know what? It suits us when he's not brave.
It's naturally though, Steve. With
it's
certain
very
fullbacks,
rarely overlaps Grealish this season. He's been
no. It's not about overlapping. It's taking up positions further up the pitch in terms of on the halfway line and in the opposition half. So, for example, it's a natural instinct of way of playing because Pep's instilled it in them so much. It takes a lot of mental strength not to play your natural game. I don't know. I think that's an intriguing battle. I also think on the other side, Mane for us, Ross. I think Mane, because Kyle Walker, I don't think there's anyone in world football, and I probably include Kylian Mbappe, that can outrun Kyle Walker on the outside. You don't do it. You're stupid if you try to run him on the outside, right? Because he's just a physical specimen. But I think Kyle Walker has concentration lapses.
He does.
Galore. And he has them, especially on the inside, Ross. And this is where Mane's been kind of playing recently. Do you agree? Slight change of style in Mane, where Mane used to hug the touchline, go out and in, whereas he's playing more of an inside forward and making that dart inwards, where Salah used to make last season, where Salah's playing much wider now. Do you see that as an opportunity for us?
Potentially. I think Kyle Walker's a phenomenal defender, and being honest. But the big difference to see in Liverpool from pre-season was the fact that how many bodies we were committing forward. Now, I know we couldn't do that last season because we had so many injuries.
Yeah.
But if you look at all the games that we played and in the way that Harvey Elliott was playing and Curtis Jones as well, every time Mo Salah plays, he has two players on him. So you need some sort of either decoy or a different option, or it's just someone to help him out. I think we'll get that, and Kyle Walker can. I think in a foot race will obviously beat Sadio Mane, but he can only run in one direction, or you can only mark one player. If you've then got Andy Robertson on the overlap or an inside channel, Mane's then got an option there. But also if you're playing all front four, you've got Jota who can move in between Salah and help him out and reach to the left and help Mane, or Jordan Henderson can do it depending on who we play in midfield. So maybe there's a chance that we can overlap that side. I don't see it as a weakness, but I think it's a space that can be got at, and if you can create 2-3 different options for Mane, or you're taking Kyle Walker away from him, and all Mane needs is 2, 3, 4, 5 yards, similar to Jack Grealish, cutting inside right foot, and he can curl one. He's got that in his locker. It's an interesting battle, but again, likewise, it's so intense and so mad because this is probably the only game in the league that I could say Liverpool might win this 4-0, but equally Manchester City might win this 4-0. Or it might just be 0-0, or it might be a draw. It's built on fine margins, and you need to get your decisions correct in this game, otherwise you get punished.
Yeah, Avi, I'm gonna ask for a prediction from you, and then you can start getting ready to close the show down. Go on then, son. Hit us with your predictions.
Just a quick one as well. I know people are laughing with the Grealish and Milner stuff, but you got to remember Milner will be bombing forward as well, like he did with Palace. And we'll see the discipline of Grealish and Cancelo that side as well. So if Milner and Salah play in tandem, I think they'll cause them trouble. But prediction-wise, Grizz, shall I give you my real prediction then?
No. Give me your real prediction.
I think it'll be 3-1 Liverpool. I think it'll be 3-1. I think we'll score first. I think we'll go 2-0 up. They'll score one, and then we'll grab a late one late on. And I think Jota will get a brace as well. 3-1 Liverpool.
Okay. I'll let you start getting ready to close the show. Steve, how do you see this one going?
I think we win 2-1.
Yeah?
Yeah, tough game, but we went 2-1. I think both teams are just going to go at each other, but I just think we're going to go at you as well. I don't think he's going to play Fernandinho. I just think he's going to just go for it. We've just got to go for it. Why not go for it?
If he plays Fernandinho and Rodri, will you finally admit that I'm the real football man in the Big Six? Like, will you say that on a show live? Like,
and
Grizz is the real football man.
I've also got other stuff I'm going to say live.
Can't wait to fuck you off. All right, Ross, what were you saying, man? How's this gonna end up then? Because it's mad.
I think the game might be mental, but I think the scoreline will be tight. I think I'll take a 1-0.
Oh yeah, I'll take a 1-0. I think this is so brilliantly set up, lads. And I think you guys have done a magnificent job of making it even more like sort of looking.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Like Chelsea game got me. I've really started this season with a little bit of a buzz. The Chelsea game was fantastic. Even though I was driving home on petrol fumes, shitting myself because I had no diesel.
Oi, listen, you of all people, right, can't complain about petrol, right? Just
this is what I'm saying. They keep calling us the oil boys, yeah, but they don't want to sort me any diesel out. You should have a pump at the Etihad and let the city season ticket holders fill up.
You want to drive electric?
You're the last person to complain about oil and fucking diesel.
I'll be driving there on Sunday, mate. So, Grizz, if you're about, I'll shout you, man.
Oh, yeah. I'll let you know. I'm still trying to decide what the situation is. I'm so scared of this petrol situation, man. Lads, are you all sorted? Is there any situation in America like this?
We're all on electric now. We don't believe in diesel or petrol anymore, or gas.
Oh, okay. Look at you. Fucking, yeah. Electric. All right.
No, there's no shortages out here. It's fine.
All right. Listen, have I missed a super chat?
It was one super chat from.
Oh, it's Mr. Antio Chill. Yeah. Do you know what, Mr. Antio Chill? Thank you for the super chat, but you're really annoying in the chat, like every second, talking about legacy summer and transfers and everything. You know what I mean? So, I think I probably missed it on purpose. It'll teach you a lesson to just sort of change the record a little bit, mate. Do you know what I mean? I'm not as nice as Gav and Avi and these lot. If you're going to be a prick in the chat, I'll tell you so. But listen, guys, we've made this show and we've made this game even more looking forward to it. Like, I'm buzzing now. I can't wait. I'm going to try and get Steve for a post-match, give his thoughts. Steve, you've been top man. Thanks very much for coming on.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Nice one. And Ross, of course, brilliant stuff, mate. Nice one. I know it's running late, but thank you very much.
No, thank you, mate.
Nice one. Avi, tomorrow...
Sports Unplugged. Just going to go over the Joshua Usyk fight. Wilder and Fury. We'll do a little preview on that. And then just a bit of bits and pieces on the Liverpool City Tuchel as well, Chelsea, because Connor's back from holiday. And just the Sienna stuff, final bit. They have reached the target, but now it's just getting that little bit more in terms of her rehab and her recovery. So, still please contribute where and if you can. Thank you very much. That's it from me.
Nice one. Listen, everyone in the chat, you've been amazing, mate. I've always said we've got the most knowledgeable people in the chat in this. Shout out to all of you lot. Some brilliant comments, some brilliant suggestions. Thank you very much. You've been a pleasure to read out some of those comments. I think this is probably the smoothest the show's ever been. I think, Avi, we're getting professionals, right? I think we're ready now to sort of take it to the next level, right?
Yeah, hopefully we'll get a job with the Redmen on the production team. So let's see. We'll send our resume over.
You can have one.
Relax, calm down there. But listen,
we'll start off with an apprenticeship or something. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a wonderful, wonderful episode of Khanage. I'm hoping to catch you guys on Sunday on the Fatback 4. Hopefully, we'll be in a brilliant mood after a smashing result against City. That's if I'm not at the game, actually. If I am, they'll have an able deputy in my place. Apart from that, please if you haven't subscribe on your way out and follow all the other guys' socials. Steve doesn't believe in Twitter. He's a real football man. But he's on Instagram. He's fucking playing. He went live on Instagram, people, and all he was doing was playing that Bob Marley song. Which one? The
Buffalo Soldier.
Buffalo Soldier.
Oh, Three Little Birds. Three Little Birds.
3 Little Birds. That's it. 3 Little Birds. So let's hope he's not as relaxed as
Don't
he was
worry about a thing,
in
because
his.
every little thing is going to be all right.
Let's hope he's not as relaxed on Sunday. Yeah, let's not worry about a little thing. Let's see what happens on Anfield on Sunday. But listen, this has been Khanage. I've been Grizz Khan. Thank you very much. Over and out.